Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to Turner Mobile Detailing. Today we're filming part one of a two-part video series. We're going to be installing a brand new ceramic coating on my own personal truck. Now, I already completed the first step in the process. Yesterday I did a full strip wash, and then I did a full chemical iron decontamination, and then I clayed the entire vehicle so the paint is totally bare. And then this morning, just to be safe, I did a rinseless wash with O&R. So now that the paint is totally clean, really the only thing left to do is to wipe down the entire vehicle with Carpro Eraser. But before we do this, we've got a little paint correction to do. If you can notice right here on my A-pillar, I've got a little zigzag scratch. Have no idea how that got there, but we're going to see if we can't polish that out. It's not deep, my fingernail doesn't even catch it. And then up here on the hood, you can see that spot right there. I think is hardened tree sap. It's been there for actually a couple of years and I've never really been able to remove it. But we're going to do some wet sanding and see if we can get it off completely and then compound it out. Okay, so we've got a lot of work ahead of us today. First, we're going to take care of those two spots that need paint correction. Then we're going to wipe the whole vehicle down with Carpro Eraser. And then I'm going to mask off all the black plastic trim. And then we're going to polish the entire vehicle with Carpro Essence. Now, the main reason why I'm masking off all the black plastic trim, I don't want any residue from the polish to contaminate the black plastics so that Carpro Deluxe can fully bond to the plastic surface. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first task on our agenda is to try to take out this sap spot right here. Now, I've got one of my Rid sticks. We're going to be starting off with 1200 sandpaper. Okay, so our next step is we're going to use some 2500 grit wet sandpaper. Introduce some more water to the surface. And really what this step is doing is refining the 1500 grit sandpaper marks to make sure that when we compound the area, there's no sanding marks left, and we're left with a beautiful, clean surface. Looks good. So you can see from the reflection that there's no spots repelling water. That spot of hardened tree sap is completely gone. And now all that's left to do is to compound the area. Okay, I'd like to bring you in now just to see what the area looks like after it's been wet sanded, after it's been totally dried. So you can see there's a lot of marring from the sandpaper, but that should be easily taken out by our compound stage. So what I've gone ahead and done off camera is hit the area again with some 2500 grit sandpaper. The reason I did that is just to reduce even further the amount of marring. That way our compound doesn't have to do quite as much work. As you can see, the marring is much lighter now. So what we're going to be doing is using my Maxshine 3-inch M312 DA polisher paired with a 3-inch Griot's Garage orange medium cut medium polish pad. Now we're going to be pairing all that with Sonax Cut Max. Now the reason why I'm using a compound and not Sonax Perfect Finish, a finish polish, is because we're going to be going over the whole vehicle later on with Carpro Essence, which is a finish polish in itself. So since this is going to be finished out later with Essence, I want to get the most bang for my buck with this cut process to make sure that we get everything out. That way the finish polish later on can do its job and I don't have to risk leaving any kind of marring in the paint after the finish polish stage. So we've already gone ahead and primed the pad, so we're ready to go. Let's wipe her down. Now it does look like there is still a little bit of marring on the surface. So you can see the reflection. There's still some horizontal lines from the sanding process. Now the problem might be that this Maxshine M312 is only 550 watts. So we might just need more power. I was noticing a lot of stalling over this ridge right here, especially right in the valley of the ridge, which is where most of the marring is. So we're going to try my DeWalt cordless. We'll see how that does. So now we're going to be using my DeWalt battery-powered 5-inch DA. This time I bumped it up to a yellow, heavier cutting pad. Same cut max as on the pad. Put it back down. Okay, let's inspect the area. Now we're making some progress. Beautiful. I don't see any remnants of our sanding marks. So we should be good to go to polish the entire hood with Carpro Essence. So before we begin our full vehicle polishing process, we're going to try to at least diminish this scratch here on the A-pillar. For this, we're going to go back to our 3-inch Maxshine because it fits perfectly within this small width of the A-pillar, and we're going to continue using Cut Max. That came out beautiful. Well, it's still there. You can still see it in high light. But outside of the inspection light, it disappears. So we're going to hit it one more time and see what we can do with it. So again, to the naked eye, it's basically invisible. So let's see what happens when we put our inspection light over it. It's still there to the very slightest degree. But again, to the naked eye, it's basically invisible. So we're going to call it good and move on. Just to give you one final look at our A-pillar scratch removal. To the naked eye, you would never know it was there. Okay, so now that both our trouble spots have been addressed, we're going to wipe down the whole entire vehicle with Carpro Eraser. I'm being liberal with Carpro Eraser, even on the black plastics, because remember, after the polishing stage is done, we're going to be coating all the black plastic trim, whether it be in the grille, the valance, all the way around the vehicle with Carpro Deluxe. Now, whenever you have areas that will retain water after you wash the vehicle, such as at the truck's shoulder line, where the door panel meets the window trim molding, there's a horizontal ledge here that goes up underneath the window trim molding, and that you can see the water sitting inside there. Now, what can happen if you don't get that out of there, eventually it can drip out of there. And the last thing you want is to get to the final part of the process when you're actually applying the ceramic coating and everything is perfect, and all of a sudden you get some of that standing water, for whatever reason at that moment decides to weep down over top of your work. And now basically that whole area is garbage. You do not want that to happen, so make sure you get all your standing water out of your crevices. Okay, so now that we've got everything wiped down with Eraser, we're going to go ahead and start our masking process. We're going to be using 3/4 inch wide 3M precision masking tape, and we're going to tape off all black plastic trim so that it's protected from the polishing process, and then it remains completely clean, ready to receive Carpro Deluxe later on. So the reason why you see me with no gloves on here is because if you've ever tried to use any kind of tape with gloves on, then you know exactly why I'm not wearing gloves here. Peeling, sticking, unpeeling, resticking, maneuvering any kind of tape can be a royal pain with gloves on. So for the masking phase, I choose to just lose the gloves. And when you get to the masking stage on your own vehicle, I suggest you do the same. Okay, so now that all the masking is done, all the black plastic trim and moldings have been masked off, it is time to begin our polishing process. Okay, so it's finally time to begin our full vehicle paint enhancement process. We're going to be doing the hood using my DeWalt cordless DA, mainly because there's no cords involved. I don't have to worry about any cords being dragged over the hood, falling off my shoulder. It's just more convenient. It's a little heavier than my Maxshine 5-inch, but for the convenience of having no cord, it's worth it. And again, we're going to be pairing it up with Carpro Essence. Now, Carpro Essence, if you don't know already, has a SiO2 component. It's basically like a primer polish for their CQUARTZ ceramic coatings, which we're going to be installing tomorrow. Essence is pretty easy to use. It's got a really nice working time. We're going to try to split the hood into 4 different sections. It's a large hood, so that might be pushing it a little bit. Essence should give us enough working time. It's a little bit of a larger area, but I'm going to push Essence to its limits, and I like to be able to finish in a reasonable amount of time. We're going to be pairing it up with an orange HexLogic medium cut, medium polish pad. This is the best kind of pad I've found for using an all-in-one type product, which Essence is. Now, Essence doesn't really have much cut. It's more polish, but again, it leaves a SiO2 ceramic layer behind. And an orange pad gives you just enough cut to get rid of any light swirls or defects, and it also polishes very nicely, leaving a mirror glaze behind. Now, as always, the first step is to prime our pad. Because there is SiO2 in this, you want to make sure we shake it up good. And we massage the polish into the foam pad, making sure the whole pad is fully lubricated. You do not want dry foam rubbing against your paint. Now, like any good high-end polish, less is more. You really don't need all that much. Once the pad is primed, you just need about 3 to 4 small pea-sized dots. Now, if you notice, I like to vary the distance from the center of the pad that I put each dot. That's then when it spins, the polish covers the full width of the pad right away. Now, normally using a 13-pound polisher would be a hindrance to your work, but in this case it's actually an added advantage. While working on a larger size hood like this full-size pickup truck we have today, or maybe you're working on a sports car like a Corvette that has a larger hood, it's more difficult to reach the center of the hood while using 2 hands on the polisher. However, the added weight allows you to use just 1 hand on the handle, while the weight of the polisher keeps enough pressure on the pad to get a proper cut or polish. Now that we've done half the hood, I'm going to wipe it down and see what kind of results we have. By the way, it's very important when you're polishing, when you're doing any kind of paint correction, the towels that you use to wipe off the surface should absolutely be brand new, out of the package towels. These are 400 GSM, straight out of the package. Essence wipes down very easily. It's very easy to work with. The area that we wet sanded earlier finished out beautiful. Okay, so the hood's all set. As you can see from the mirror reflection off of it behind me, it came out gorgeous. So for today, we're going to put away the cordless DeWalt. And before I do, I just want to give you some final thoughts on it. I know I gave you some thoughts of mine on it on a recent video I put out, polishing the Mercedes AMG, but just a few extra thoughts if you're considering purchasing one of these machines. I believe I said in that video that I didn't think it was powerful enough. I want to take that back. This is plenty powerful enough. The key is to know what RPM to operate it at. It does go all the way up to 5,500 RPMs, which is very high and should be more than adequate for any kind of paint correction you plan on doing. So what I usually do is I put it all the way at the bottom, which is 2,000 RPMs, to spread the product around the panel. And then I bump it up to about 4,000 to 4,500 RPMs for normal operating usage. There was a few times, if you notice in the hood has some very pronounced scallops in it, which produce these ridges along the sides here. So along some of them, especially when the ridges get sort of shallow, where they taper off here, I did get some stalling in those areas. So all I did really was bump it up to about 5,000 to 5,500 RPMs just for those little sections, just to make sure I kept that pad spinning over those areas. Overall, I think it's a really good machine. Like I said before, it's a little heavy, about 13 pounds with the battery. It does come with a side handle. I don't particularly use them, but if you like to use a side handle, it does come with one, which can be attached either on the left or the right side per your comfort. In the battery pack, this was a full battery pack before we started. We did a full hood on a full-size pickup truck, and let's see how much battery power we have left. We have 1 bar out of 3. I can show you that. So again, overall, you're not going to use it to do a full vehicle, especially not a full-size pickup truck on the 2 batteries that the kit comes with. You're going to have to spend some time recharging it if that's what you want to do. But I do highly recommend it for spot treatments, isolated paint correction, a panel here, a panel there. But it's going to be a pain in the butt to try to do a whole vehicle on just 2 batteries unless you already have a stockpile of charged, ready to go DeWalt batteries. Okay, that being said, for the rest of the vehicle, we're going to switch over to my Maxshine M15 Pro for the larger panels. We're going to use the 3-inch Maxshine for the grille here in the front and other smaller areas like the A and C pillars to make sure we get a level 10 polish out of the whole vehicle. I tell you what, Carpro Essence, I love using this stuff. It's got a nice long working time and it buffs off super easy. Like I said before, just 3 to 4 pea-sized dots on your pad and you're good to go. Okay, so 4.5 hours later, we are finally done with our polishing stage. So now our next step, we get our masking tape off. We inspect our black plastics and our plastic trim one last time, and then we can start applying Carpro DLUX. So let me take you around the truck a little bit. You can see how she came out, and at the same time, I'll be pulling off the masking tape. Look how beautiful this paint came out. And here's our spot earlier that we had to wet sand out, and it came out absolutely gorgeous. Look at the reflection down that panel. Beautiful. I'm gonna start ripping off this masking tape. This chrome mirror caps came out beautiful too. Look at that. Look down the side panel. Perfect finish. .3M's precision masking tape does an excellent job in creating a nice hard edge. I never have to worry about the polisher pulling up an edge of tape and then getting polish underneath. Just works awesome every time. Tailgate came out beautiful too. We ended up getting some nice ambient light in here today. Turned out to be a beautiful day. Okay, so now that all the masking tape has been removed, we're ready for the next step. So Carpro says after you've wiped down all the black plastics, the plastic trim that you intend to apply Deluxe to with Eraser, give it 20 minutes to fully evaporate from the surface. So that's what we've done. We went around the entire truck and I wiped down again just the areas that I had masking tape, just to make sure there was no masking tape residue left over on the plastic. So in the kit we have our 30 milliliter bottle of Deluxe, we've got our applicator, and we've got our suede microfiber applicator towels. Now Carpro also says that on smooth black plastics like we have here on the grill, wait till it flashes and then buff it off. But with textured black plastics like we have here right behind it, still on the grill, no buffing is necessary for that. And there's plenty of textured black plastics around. Now what we're going to be doing too is sometimes these applicators, especially like an intricate area like the grill, an applicator just won't do, like this black vertical flat surface right back here. The applicator just won't get in there. So what we're going to have to do is just use an applicator towel right on the finger and get in there and apply it like this right on the finger. And the same goes for the wheels. We are going to use a little foam applicator. Okay, let's give it a few minutes, let it cure, and then we'll buff off the piano black plastics. Okay, we waited a few minutes. Now we're going to buff off the piano black plastics. We started on this middle bar, so that's the first one we're going to buff off. Now the instructions say buff off before it gets too sticky. And it's been on there about 5 minutes, and it's a little sticky. So the instructions want you to get it off before it becomes too sticky. There's a little tug. Once you get it buffed, that tug goes away. Once again, I'm using brand new microfiber towels to buff off. So now we're just going to level out some of the other areas, the textured plastic. And here's how the black grill came out with Carpro Deluxe. And as you can see, it came out amazing. Hopefully the camera can pick up just how deep and rich these black plastics are now. The black piano trim on the front has a gorgeous gloss. Z71 emblem is nice and black and protected around it. Alright, now let's get the rest of the truck done. Now we're going to tackle this heavily laden black plastic rear bumper. Got ourselves a nice new clean applicator. Make sure we cap the bottle. Now we're not going to see a huge transformation in color or depth of the black in the plastic, because I've always taken very good care of my black plastics, so they were never that faded to begin with. But we're still going to see some transformation. This stuff is very easy to use. Now, the nice thing about doing the textured black plastic is that the instructions say to just put it on and leave it on. As long as you apply it nice and evenly, you've got a nice even sheen, there's no major high spots. You just leave it and it cures. What you can do if you have a really tight inside corner, like here, like this vertical plane, opposed to this horizontal plane here at the back of the bumper, is allow the applicator to hang over the end of the applicator block a little bit. That way it can wrap up, and then put some material right on the corner so that it's on both planes, and then squeeze it right into the corner and you'll get it in there nice. And then the opposite is true. If you're up against an edge where you don't want any to get on the opposing edge, have your applicator right at the edge of the applicator block, and then put a little material right there. And that way you can limit, if any, the amount of material that gets on your adjacent plane. We want to keep it on the black plastics only. I'm going to need another swab to get in some of these areas. Notice the difference Deluxe make on even well-maintained black plastic. As you can see, the black plastic trim and the black plastic body components came out absolutely gorgeous. The morning sun really highlights the gentle sheen and the true depth of the black. Carpro Deluxe leaves a beautiful natural matte to satin finish. For a more satin finish, I found to just make sure Deluxe is spread evenly and just leave to cure. For a more matte finish, you can let absorb into the plastic for a few minutes and then buff it down. And Deluxe should last about a year, but if we maintain it well, I believe we can push it to possibly a year to a year and a half. And as always, I'll do my best to keep you guys updated with its longevity. Okay, it's actually the next morning. Last night when I finished coating the plastic trim with Carpro Deluxe, I was totally wiped out, so I decided to finish off this video the next morning. And seeing how the plastics turned out the next day, it came out gorgeous. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough product to do the wheels. There's a lot of plastic on this truck, and it took every last drop of the 30 milliliter bottle just to do the plastics. So I've got another bottle on order, and when that comes in, we'll have to make a separate video on doing the wheels. Okay, so that'll do it for part one of this two-part video series. As you saw, part one consisted of a one-step paint enhancement using Carpro Essence, and then the coating of all the black plastic trim and all the other black plastics using Carpro Deluxe. So stay tuned for part two, where we're going to be filming our process in installing Carpro CQUARTZ UK 3.0. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's content, please don't hesitate to give us a like down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future auto detailing content. And also ring that notification bell so you can be notified when we release new content, and also when we release part two of this two-part video series. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Seth with Turner Mobile Detailing, and we'll see you in the next video.